We continue now at the top of Daf Yud Zayin Amid Beis in Meseches Bava Kamma. This is Bava Kamma Daf 17b. The Gemara says, Amar le Ravina l'Rava. Ravina says to Rava, Hainu regel, Hainu behema. In the Mishnah, it talks about regel, and then it talks about behema. It's the exact same case. As Rashi says, Hainu regel, Hainu behema, my regel, my behema, the tani tarti b'masnisin. Why are both of these taught in the Mishnah? Hachadi, it's all the same case. The idea is, what's the damage of regel when it's walking in its normal fashion and damaging? And then, what's the behema when it damages walking in its normal fashion and damaging? It has to pay, it's like a muad. V'amai hadr tani ha behema muadis. Why does it say the behema is muad to walk and cause damage when it just said that? And the Gemara answers, Amar le, he said to him, Rava said to Ravina, Tana avos v'katani toldos. The Mishnah teaches us first the avos, and then it teaches us the toldos. Rashi explains, Tana avos regel mamish. The beginning of the Mishnah is actual regel, meaning the actual foot caused the damage. Shadarsa baraglet, stepped on something with its feet. V'seifa katani toldos ha-behema muedes lahalich kedarkan. The seifa, it's the toldos, the animal, meaning if it walks and breaks with other parts of its body. Well, the shaver begufa v'saro v'shlif she'aleh derachilucha. Let's say it breaks with its body or its hair or with the package which is upon it while it's walking. The toldos, the regelhein, those are all toldos of regel. The hezeka motziv in kavanas lazik. Again, it's a common kind of damage. It's not having kavana to do that damage. So in that situation, we're learning both avos and toldos. That's what the Mishnah is teaching us. The Gemara says, Elameat, but according to that, seifa de katani. What are you going to say about the end, meaning the next Mishnah? It says in the next Mishnah, Hashein muedes, Hashein muedes, habehema muedes. It's the same phrasing. It says the shein is muad, the animal is muad. My avos and my toldosika. Now over there, what are the avos and the toldos? Because there is no tolda really with the mouth, meaning to say you don't do a tolda with the mouth, as Rashi says, my avos and my toldosika, lekol member the hide the ton of behema muedes lechol peros v'yarakos. Because the language of the Mishnah is that the behema is a muad to eat. So that's not a tolda, that's the av. It's a havalu tolda. You can't say that's a tolda. The hainu shein mamish, that's actually shein. The tolda the shein hainu nischacha bekosel anasa. There would be a tolda of shein. That would be, let's say, it rubs against the wall for pleasure. Let's say the animal does that and causes damage. But that's clearly not what the Mishnah is talking about when the Mishnah says habehema muedes leechol. So what do you mean to say avos and toldos? You can't use that answer in the next Mishnah. And so the Gemara says, when he heard this question from the next Mishnah, Bava Kamma Daf. So Rava answered Ravina with a little bit of a joke. V'yamar le, he said to him, Anosha noichad. I answered one question, meaning I answered our Mishnah. Now you have to answer one question. You answer the next Mishnah. But the Gemara says v'taimamai. But what is the reason in the seifa? What's the reason by shein that it says shein and behema? Amar Ravashi says, Tana shein de chaya, v'katani shein de behema. We're learning two cases. One is the shein of a chaya, of a wild animal. That's what it means in the Mishnah when it says shein. And then it says behema, it's talking about a domesticated animal. Because I might have thought v'shilach as be'iro, the phrasing of the pasuk is be'iro, which is translated as behema. Because if that's what's written, behema in chaya lo, I might think it applies to a behema and not to a chaya. Kamash Malon, that's what the Mishnah is teaching us, the chaya b'chlal behema. With the word shein, we're talking about chaya as well. A chaya is included within the category of behema. There's also a concept of shein when it comes to a chaya. But the Gemara says, if so, then if that's the case, so behema really is the ikr. That's the one in the pasuk. So behema should have been first, and then you should have had the word shein. Not having the word shein, which is chaya, you shouldn't have chaya go first if be'iro is a reference to behema. And so the Gemara answers to that, the one that we learn out from a drasha, meaning the one that's right in the pasuk is just right in the pasuk. The one that we learn out from a drasha that we add on, chaya, that's more beloved, and that's why the Tana starts with chaya. The Gemara says, if so, Reisha Nami lisni Hahida Lo Ksiva Bereisha. But if that's the case, the Reisha, meaning our Mishnah as well, you should list the one that's not written first. List the Tolda first, and then have the Av. Why do we have Regel first and then the Tolda? The Gemara says no comparison. Hachi Ashta, what kind of comparison are you making? Hasam idi v'idi avos ninu. By shein, both behem and chay are avos. Hach da'asi midrasha chavivole. The one that we learn out from the drasha, that's more beloved. But over here, shavik av v'tani tolda. Are you going to abandon the av and have the tolda first? Of course, the av is going to go first. Ibay saying, if you want, I could say another answer. I did the salik me regel. Since we finished talking about regel in the Mishnah right before our Mishnah, we discuss regel. That's in the first parak. It says a regel muedes. So therefore, pasach beregel. So that's why we open up with this parak with the word regel. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Behema muedas lahalach kedarko l'shaber, an animal is a muad to walk in its normal fashion and break things. Ketzad, how so? Behema shenichnaso l'chatzer hanizik, if an animal enters the chatzer hanizik, vehizika, and damages begufa with its body, derech hilucha, while it's walking, uvasara derech hilucha, or with its hair while it's walking, bu'ukaf she'aleh, let's say with the saddle that's upon it, uvashliv she'aleh, or let's say with the package, that the burden that's upon it, uvafrumbia shabipia, or the bit that's in its mouth, uvazug shabipitzavar, or the bell around its neck. V'chamor b'maso, or a donkey does a damage with its burden. Mishalim nezek shalim. In all these cases, pays nezek shalim. Sumchas Omer, Sumchas says, Tsuroros. Let's say you have a case of pebbles. V'chazir sheyanover bi'ashbor. Let's say you have a pig that is digging around in the garbage heap and causes damage. V'hizik and causes damage. Mishalim nezek shalim. Pays nezek shalim. As we're going to see, Sumchas holds that Tsuroros pays nezek shalim. But the Gemara says hizik. But if you're talking about the pig that damages hizik, direct damage, pshita, that's obvious. Everyone agrees that's nezek shalim. Why is Sumchas talking about that? Ela ema hitiz v'hizik. Rather, what we mean to say is also Tsuroros, that it's digging around and then it causes pebbles to fly out and they cause damage. Mishalim nezek shalim. It's going to pay nezek shalim. But the Gemara still asks, Tsuroros mandakar shmai. Why is Sumchas talking about Tsuroros? We never mentioned Tsuroros. The Tana Kamma doesn't mention Tsuroros. And then Sumchas responds with his opinion when it comes to Tsuroros. And the Gemara answers, Chisure mechsrav achi katani. There are words that are missing from this price that should read as follows: Tsuroros ki or chayu chatzi nezik. When it comes to tsuroros in the normal way of the animal walking, it's chatzi nezik. You pay half damage. V'chazir sheyanover ba'ashba v'hitis v'hizik mishalim chatzi nezik. Similarly, let's say you have a pig that's digging around in the garbage and it causes pebbles to come out and cause damage. It pays chatzi nezik. Sumchas Omer, Sumchas says tsuroros. When it comes to pebbles, v'chazir sheyanover ba'ashba v'hitis, and if you have a pig that's digging around in the garbage and it causes pebbles to fly out, v'hizik, and they damage, mishalim nezek shalim. Again, Sumchas holds that the payment is going to be nezek shalim, you have to pay full. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Tarnagolin shayim africhin mimakom lamakom. Let's say you have chickens, they're flying around from one place to the other, v'shivru kelim b'chanfein, and they break kelim directly with their wings, mishalim nezek shalim, the payment is full, that's a normal damage. Beruach shebekhanfein, but let's say the wind that comes from their wings, that causes the damage, mishalim and chatzi nezek, that's going to be a payment of half, because that's considered tsuroros. Sumchas Omer nezek shalim. Sumchas says in that case it's nezek shalim, full damage, because he holds again tsuroros is nezek shalim. Tanya Yidach, we learned in another brayse, Tarnagolin shoyu mahadsin al gabe isa. If you have chickens that are dancing on top of dough, ve'al gabe peiros, or on top of fruit, v'tinfu, and they make it dirty, or nikru, or they're pecking at it, mishalim nezek shalim, the payment is nezek shalim. Haluaf, or tsuroros, if they cause the dust or the pebbles to come up, mishalim and chatzi nezek, if that causes the damage, then the payment is chatzi nezek, regular case of tsuroros. Sumchas Omer nezek shalim. Sumchas says in that case again nezek shalim, because according to Sumchas, tsuroros is nezek shalim. Tanya Yidach, we have another brayse, Tarnagol shayim africh mimakom lamakom. You have a chicken that's flying from place to place. V'yotz ruach mitachas kenafav, and the wind comes from underneath its wings. V'shivras hakelim, and breaks the vessels. Mishalim chatzi nezek, pays chatzi nezek. Stomach rabbanan. This stam brayse is following the sheet of the rabbanan that tsuroros is chatzi nezek. Amar Rava says, Bishlama Sumchas, I understand Sumchas' opinion why you pay nezek shalim by tsuroros. Kasavar kocho kagufo dami, because he holds the kocho, meaning if a damage happens because of the force of the animal, it's the same as if the damage happens from the animal's body itself, and you pay full. El Rabbanan, but according to the Rabbanan, ikagufo dami, so if it's considered like damage from the body of the animal, if kocho is the same as gufo, so kule nezek boy l'shalim, so tsuroros should pay the full thing. V'lav kagufo dami, and if we say that the force of the animal is not the same as the body of the animal, chatzi nezek nami lo l'shalim, you shouldn't even pay half. What's this idea of paying half? According to the Rabbanan, Hadar Amar Rava, then Rava said, Liolam kagufo dami, really it is like the body of the animal, it should technically pay full. V'chatzi nezek tsuroros hilchasa gemirila, but the idea of paying chatzi nezek by tsuroros is a halacha l'moshe misinai, that's a tradition, that is the halacha. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, Amar Rava says, Kol shebezav tamei, any situation whereby a zav it's tamei, that refers to a situation where a zav, let's say, touches somebody and makes him tamei, bin izak, and so if you have that kind of a direct damage from the body of the animal, mishalim nezek shalim, then the payment is nezek shalim. Kol shebezav tar, but any situation whereby a zav it's tar, so let's say a zav would throw something at somebody, so in that case that person would be tar, ben nezak and mishalim chatzi nezek, by nezak, and you have a case of tsuroros, the payment would just be chatzi nezek. The Gemara says, V'rava tsuroros asa lashmin, and is Rava just teaching us the concept of tsuroros, that by tsuroros is chatzi nezek? It doesn't seem like much of a chiddush. The Gemara says, no, Rava egla moshachas bekaron kamash malon. What Rava is teaching is, let's say you have a calf that's pulling a wagon, so the halach is, if you have a zav in a wagon and the wagon rolls over something, it rolls over some kalim, like a pillow or something like that, that's tamei, that's called medras hazav. And the idea is that the wagon, Rava is trying to teach us that the wagon that's being pulled by the animal is like the animal itself. If the wagon damages something, that's considered to be a damage that's going to be nezek shalim. Let's say tsuroros would fly out from under the wagon, so then that would be a situation of chatzi nezek. That's what Rava is teaching us by comparing it to a zav. And the Gemara continues, Tanya Kavase, the Rava, we have a brisa that supports Rava. Behema muedes l'shaver b'derech hilucha. Behema is considered a muad to break things as it's walking. Keitzad, how so? Behema shenichnasu l'chatzar anizik. If an animal enters the chatzar anizik, veizika begufa derech hilucha, and damages with its body as it's walking. Uvesara derech hilucha, or with its hair as it's walking. Bu'ukav shela, with the saddle on it. Uveshlif shela, with the burden that's upon it. Uvefrumbia shebepia, with the bit in its mouth. Uvezug shebetzavara, with the bell around its neck. V'chamur b'masor, if a donkey damages with its burden. V'eglam moshachas b'koron, or you have an animal pulling a wagon. Meshalim nezek shalim. In all of these cases, pay nezek shalim. You see clearly the pulling of the wagon. The wagon is considered like the animal itself, and the payment is nezek shalim. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabban, and the rabbis taught, Tarnagolim sheyim mechattin b'chevel deli, if the chickens are pecking at the rope that's attached to the pail. V'nifsak hachevel v'nishbar hadeli, and the rope snaps and the pail breaks, meshalmin nezek shalim, then they pay the full damages. The Gemara will discuss this case. Boy, Rava asks, Dorsa al kli, let's say they step upon a vessel, v'lo shibarto, and it doesn't break immediately, v'nisgalgel l'makam acher v'nishbar, and then the vessel rolls somewhere else and it breaks. Mahu, what would be the halach in that case? Basar meikar azlina, do we follow what happened at the beginning, meaning it did touch the kli with its body, and therefore v'gufehu, that's considered a damage of its body, you pay nezek shalim. O dilma basar tavar mona azlina, or maybe we follow when it actually breaks, when the vessel actually breaks, which is after it rolls a little bit. With tzroros ninu, maybe that's considered the same as tzroros, and would only pay chatzi nezek. And the Gemara says, Tifshat le'mi de Rabba. The Gemara says we can answer this question from what Rabba said. The Yama Rabba, because Rabba said, Zara kli me rosh hagag. Let's say a person throws a vessel from on top of a roof, uba'acher v'shivra b'makel, and somebody else comes and breaks it with a stick before it actually just hits the ground and breaks. So Rabba says, Potter, you're Potter in that case. The Amrinon lay, because he can say to him, Mona tvira tavar. He could say that I broke something that was already broken. It was on its way. It was about to break. Then I hit it with the makel. And so therefore that second person can say he's not chayiv. It's clear from Rabbah that Basar Mei Karazlina, we follow the beginning. From the very beginning when he threw it, it was already about to break, therefore it's considered like it's already broken, and the same thing would be true over here. When the vessel rolls and then breaks, that would be considered direct damage by the body of the animal. And the Gemara says, L'Rava Pshitale, the Gemara says, you're right. According to Rabbah, it is obvious that we follow Mei Kara, but L'Rava Mi Boile, but to Rava that was still a question. And the Gemara says, Tashma, come in here, the following proof, Hidus Eino Muad. It says in the Brisa that let's say the chickens are dancing, it's not considered Muad. V'yesh omrim hareza Muad, and there are those that say that it is considered Muad. So what's the case over here? Hidus al kadaytach, do you really think that they're directly dancing on something, and that's considered a machlokus, whether that's Muad? Of course that's Muad. Elalav, rather is it not? Hidus v'hitas, what happens is it's dancing, and then this thing ended up rolling. It's exactly our case. It rolled somewhere and it broke. Uvahakam they're arguing about exactly this issue. Damar savar basar mei karazlin, and one says we follow what happened at the beginning, there was direct contact, and therefore it's considered nezek shalim. Umar savar basar tavar manazlin, and the other one says we follow when the vessel actually breaks. The Gemara says, no, not necessarily, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph.